You're going to run into this problem, and instead of getting frustrated, watch this entire video. How to handle divide by zero errors. What am I talking about? Well, stay tuned. I'll explain step by step how to fix this problem. Brad Williams, Excel Prime. How to handle divide by zero errors. If we attempt to divide by zero within Excel, it's going to create an error message. For example, if we hit equals 5 divided by 0, we're going to get this div error. How do we deal with this within Excel? I'll show you. Traditionally, typical math is you take your numerator and divide it by your denominator. Numerator would have been 5, denominator 0. In your math class, you would just get a 0. Traditionally, that would just, you'd put 0 there. And the way that works out is, let's use the number 8, and we want to divide 8 by 2. You would go 8 minus 2 equals 6, 6 minus 2 equals 4, 4 minus 2 equals 2, and 2 minus 2 is equal to 0. Therefore, 8 divided by 2 is equal to 4. But if you try to divide 8 by 0 within Excel, it's just going to 8 minus 0 equals 8. 8 minus 0 equals 8. 8 minus 0 equals 8. And this will just go forever. You'll have a loop, and there's no way to stop that loop. In order to fix this div error, let's just make up a hypothetical situation. We have a couple of items play here in this range. We have shirts and hats and what have you, and we have a wholesale price of $13. And a retail price of $18.20. But what if they were the same? And I want to know the markup. Ignore this profit margin up here. In D19, we're just focusing here on D21 and E21. Let's go in and change the wholesale price to $18. Change this retail price to $13. We want to know the change here. We go D21 minus 13 or E21, and you'll see 0. And we wanted to divide this by 40%. And let's say that you entered a profit of 40%, but it was a typo. And you ended up putting 0%. And you had in this formula, D19, this formula here should be DE19, and you see there's a div error. So how do we fix this? If we want a true number, we have options. One of the formulas you can use is the if function. And the if function is basically if A, then deliver whatever's in A. If it's B, you would deliver whatever's B. And in this case, if 13 minus 13 is equal to 0, we know that will create an error. That would be bucket A. And the result would be you would want to put a 0 there instead of a div. If it was the actual number, in this case E, then you would put in E. Did I just confuse you? I probably did. So I'll just give you an example. We're going to use the if function. Remember, equals if. There is your if. And your if function, put a parentheses, and we're going to put in if, let's say if D minus E is equal to 0, what do we want to do? What we want to do is essentially take this formula here, and we want to put it into an if function. What's the if function? We're asking this, if D21 minus E21 divided by E19 equals 0, then what do we want? Well, we want to go, we can put a 0 there. We can put anything we want. If you want to put in a text, you can always start off with a colon, then say error. And if it's not an error, then you want it to equal this formula, D21, D19. And the best way to do that is just hit Control C, go back over here, in the formula bar, Control V, and put a parenthesis. Now you see the error. The if has to start with its own parenthesis. And then we have a parenthesis inside a parenthesis. You remember I said you have to match. And here we have an argument. Then we have the expressions. The D21 are the expressions. The argument is everything in between the if and the last parenthesis. I put in this parenthesis here, hit enter. Now here we have Excel wanting to jump in and try to fix this. We found a typo in your formula and tried to correct it. We don't want that. We're going to say no. And that tone, if that drives you crazy, my speakers are on and it drives me crazy, but I'm going to leave them on because I'm trying to get a point across here. Sometimes that irritating noise is enough to force you to fix this. I forgot to put the parenthesis in both equations. Hit enter, and we still have a screw up here. Now, let's say we have a hypothetical where we have 5 of something here in B19, and we wanted to divide it by something else. Now, what happens if we divide 5 equals 5 divided by 0? We get this div error. Let's go 5, 0, and why don't we say, well, if that denominator is, if it's ever 0, why don't we overwrite this? Why don't we use this feature called the if function? And it goes if, parentheses, and this is just a simple function, and we have a logical test. If it's A, then do whatever A does, otherwise do B. So we have if A, if it's true, then do whatever it's true. If it's false, then do whatever value you want for false. What if 0 is true? What if C20 is true? What if it is 0? Be sure to check out our extensive courses, which include Excel data and text manipulation for advanced users, beginners, intermediate. We also have this great essentials, the A to Z for advanced users, the comprehensive beginner level 1 and 2. Then we have our advanced formulas, strictly formulas, great set of courses, which we have a beginner level 1 and beginner level 2, this intermediate level, and we have this advanced level. Click on any of the links. There's a short video that explains everything about the course. Check it out. If C20 is equal to 0, then what do we want? Well, we can have that error, or we can put NA, not applicable. And in order to put text into a formula string, you always start off with quotes. So you start off with a quote, and NA just means not applicable. And then you end it with a NA, and you close this particular section. If C20 is anything but 0, you want it to equal whatever that number is, and that would be C20. We hit C20, we hit enter, and we get NA. How does this apply? Why don't we go back into this formula? If C20 is ever 0, we want NA. And if it's anything but 0, we want C20. We want to divide B20 by C20. And you just add this formula in here. So what does this say is, if C20 is equal to 0, put NA. Otherwise, go to B20, C20. And if that's true, complete that. And here we have NA because this is 0, but what if this number is 1? Well, you're going to get an answer of 5 here. You understand that? If C20 is true, put NA. Why don't we just type this, true? See, you didn't get true. Therefore, we went over to B and we completed whatever's true with B. We know B is true, so C20 can't be true because it's not 0, so that'd be false. Therefore, we can't put in true. So we'll go over to the next expression and go B20 minus C20. Go back to 0, hit enter. What's true? Well, go here, C20 is equal to 0. That's true. If it's true, then you can't do B20 minus C20 because this first expression overrides the second. This is just a quick introduction to if formulas and functions. We have a lot more in the future, but that's just a quick introduction. Brad Williams, Excel Prime. Thanks for your time.